Concepts, the Ways of Safety. I'm your host, Ryan, and today we're diving into the current state of the environmental health and safety field in 2026. So we're going to explore some key trends and topics buzzing in the industry, right? The common complaints from EHS professionals at all levels and some inspiring achievements, success stories. Got to have the positive, right? Whether you're new to the field or you're a seasoned pro, this episode is packed with real-world insights to help you, navigate the ways of safety. So let's get started. First up, let's talk about the major trends and topics shaping EHS right now based on industry reports. Now, there's a big shift towards technology like AI and predictive analytics to move from reactive compliance to proactive risk management. For example, AI is helping with workflows, predicting safety issues, and focusing on preventing serious injuries and fatalities, which is a major help. It is a tool to help her. So now regulatory changes are ramping up globally. Think Brazil's NR-01 updates that now require evaluations of psychosocial risk for mental health protection, or stricter carbon reporting in places like Spain. So in the EU and the US, there is heightened scrutiny on chemicals like PFAS. Retired sailor telling you what, I've drank it, bathed in it, been coated in it, drenched in it for hours on end. So, there may be that commercial comes on. Did you serve in the United States Navy and were you exposed to AFFF and da-da-da-da-da? And I'm going to be like, yeah, that's me. Yeah. So anyway, but back to the topic, right? So there's new rules aimed at limiting this exposure. There's a climate-related risk are front and center as well, right? And we all know that with, preventing heat illness, also monitoring emissions, and then also integrating sustainability in EHS strategies. Of course, it's through the ESG reporting, which most of the companies put out their ESG report to brag, or that's what they want to do. Right? Right? We're here. Okay. Anyway, so we're also seeing this generational shift, right, in the workforce training, especially adapting to Gen Z's preferences. I just can't talk. You're going to know this if you watch my channel. Along with hybrid resourcing for EHS teams, and of course, centralizing data for quicker hazard responses. So, you have sectors like, for instance, healthcare, heavy industries. So psychological safety, it's a growing priority. I've talked about that on this channel several times, but balancing operational demands with risk reduction, that's got to be there, right? That's part of that psychological safety, right? And then you got benchmarking data that reveals challenges like rising injury severity rates, persistent underreporting. It's the one I hate the most, I think. And capacity strains across the programs, right? So in reviewing a lot of things, I'm going to tell you on platforms like X, there's discussions that highlight specific operational hazards, such as radiation exposure. And if I ever say it correctly, musculoskeletal issues in fields like electrophysiology, so this is where some surveys show like 41% of professionals dealing with orthopedic injuries, and then 7.8% facing malignancies. We need to keep our people safe. Anyway, there's push for safer technologies, with initiatives like EFEIA foundations, global census on electromagnetic hypersensitivity. Some days I can't talk, but they're gathering data from over 286 participants in more than 20 countries. Now, broader concerns include that regulatory enforcement gaps. So, for instance, I'm going to say this naughty word, right? Over 134,000 COVID-related workplace complaints to the UK's Health and Safety Environmental, their HSE, resulted in minimal prosecutions sparking major calls for stronger union involvement over there in the UK, right? Now, in education and healthcare, safeguarding breakdowns and ongoing exposure risk for workers are persistent issues. With experts demanding better protections. Like, we need it, and we need it now. Anyway, but let's shift some gears real quick to what EHS workers are actually saying. The complaints, the gripes. You know what I'm saying? So we all know there's forums on Reddit. There's one there for safety professionals. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Right? So there's professionals at all levels, but professional entry level from newcomers to senior, seasoned EHS professionals, they are venting about similar frustrations, just so you know. And this next one, some of you guys are just you're gonna need a hug. And if I could hug you through the screen, I would, okay? Burnout is huge. Anyway, because it's driven by constant interruptions. I always say I don't go to work, especially if I'm on a job site or even in a manufacturing facility. I don't go to work as a safety professional at EHS or whatever let's go through all that acronyms and how you want to place the E, the S, the H, or add the O in and have OHS, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? But most of us in our field, we don't go to work. We go to interruptions, and that's where some of that burnout happens. But the other thing is the no-shows at meetings. You have a meeting scheduled, and you got top people that are supposed to be there. They don't show up, and that adds to the burnout because it's the frustration of, okay, listen, we're trying to get things accomplished in a time-sensitive manner, yet you're not showing the wherewithal to be in this meeting, sir or ma'am. You know who you are. If you're watching this, I hope that hits in the back of your brain real hard in a safe way. Anyway, but it's a lack of leadership support that is another major issue, right? And it's seen by your workers and your EHS people as a management problem rather than an EHS one. Just so you know, I've worked with companies that the workers, boots on the ground, they are accepting and inviting at all things EHS and want to know and want to participate and want to help and everything else. But they get squashed by upper management because there's a disconnect sometimes there. And I encourage you, if you don't do gimbal walks and you're a freaking CEO or you're a VP of whatever it may be, get your ass out on the floor and see the people, okay? That's who's making your money, not you. I know you think you do everything, but you know what? You do something, but it's those, if without them, you wouldn't be you. Just saying, just maybe that's a personal frustration. That's from burnout, I think. I think that's from the psychological. But no, I wanted to make that aware because you need that. You need to know that if you ain't taking care of your people, in my book, you're a piece of excrement, right? So get out there and engage with your safety people, engage with your workers, because that's what you're going to need, right? So moving back to the topic, in manufacturing and similar sectors of what we do, folks describe being stuck in firefighting mode, and it happens all the time. They get stuck in firefighting mode because they got to put out all the fires everywhere, right? And 9.9 times out of 10, it's without the resources to address root causes. And you're dealing with toxic managers at all levels, Now, not always. Sometimes your superintendents or anybody else, your frontline supervisors or your leads, they have the problem. It's usually whoever their boss or their boss's boss is the toxic manager, and that can be a problem. And then sometimes upper management don't know about the middle or the upper, whatever toxic managers, and then of course everybody usually leaves or incidents happen, et cetera, et cetera. The other problem with us in the EHS community is our canceled days off sometimes, because that happens, and then the worst. And if you are here and you're a safety professional, and I say this, I need a like and I need a comment. I don't care, hell yeah, or you're right, or pay. You don't realize how much an actual safety person does at work, whether it be if they have to sit through endless policies, manuals, training, creating, developing, updating, correcting, teaching it, interacting with everybody. That's a lot. That's a lot for an individual to do. You don't understand it. That is air between the molecules of movement, if you will, is your safety team. Just so you know, we're in every aspect. Just so you know, you've got to know this. And if you don't, I don't know. Maybe we need to make a seminar for you, But, we even get that public disdain because we're in those roles that are related to, well, the policies, but sometimes it feels more like policing. And I've already talked about safety cops a lot. Can't stand them. If you got them, you get safety cops out because, again, in my profession, I got to know chapter and verse of OSHA, but I don't expect to preach it to everybody, right? I expect to connect to you as an individual. You understand, hey, listen, I want you to see your kids when you go home. I want to see your wife. I want to see your husband. I want you to see whoever it may be is. If you like to fish, I want you to be able to see that you caught a fish and have the digits to do that, right? I want to be able to see that you go home because you didn't sign up to give your life a work or appendages, right? Or any other thing health-wise. You didn't give your health to the company. And that needs to be known. And if you don't know this about your safety people, they care about you way more than you think. Like even when you piss them off, okay? So just so you know, I've had guys that pissed me off early, but you know what? I'm not going to allow them to be in danger. Just not going to happen. Even though I had one of my shorts go viral about saying, the people that no one wants to come to work to get, no one comes to work to get hurt, or no one wants to get hurt at work, or maybe you got people at work that you want hurt. But anyway, so if you ever watch that one, you'll laugh because I laugh at it every time I hear it because I was on a Rambo rant and it happens every now and then, right? So just know you know. And this is the other big issue that we face in the EHS field, just so you know, it is job insecurity. Yeah. It is too real. Because when there's an incident, whether it's on site or in manufacturing, you know who they quickly blame and judge? Safety. EHS, SHE, HES, OHS, however you want to spin that description of your safety. That's what happens. And layoffs, they are a recurring theme, like the one in California, a team of 4 specialists getting entirely cut, So just understand that. And then you have senior pros, often gripe about the unsupportive upper management. I talk at that ad nauseum, and we do in our circles, just so you know. Yeah, CEOs, VPs, C-suite, your safety team, they talk about you. If you didn't know. And we know what you say about us. And that's what you don't know. But the unsupportive upper management, always blocking progress. While newer ones are sharing stories of misunderstandings that lead to OSHA complaints or personal slip-ups, because we're human too. We can miss hazards during inspections. It happens. Because just because I'm looking this way and there's something going on over here doesn't mean I see it or I was there, even though, they were Ryan was out there on the floor. Wait a minute. but I wasn't over looking at you or doing any of that. Things like that happen and get misconstrued, and then like you weren't doing your job, which is a bunch of BS. I'm going to tell you. Okay. Again, the safety department isn't the sole responsible stakeholder in everybody's safety. Every being in employment at the company, whatever it may be, is the stakeholder, the shareholder of safety. Doesn't matter. You got to understand that. Okay. So if you get rid of your safety person for no good reason, if they showed absolute wrongdoing, then by all means, that 9.9 out of 10, they were doing their job and you weren't listening and there was an incident. And then of course, that's what happened, right? So missing those hazards during inspections, it happens. Now overall, while some say that their content compared to other careers, the administrative burdens and lack of appreciation, that's what comes up consistently in what we do, right? But hey, it's not all challenges. So let's highlight some achievements and success stories that show the positive impact EHS professionals are making. Even though it's not spoken about. Programs like OSHA Safety and Health Recognition, the Health Achievement Recognition Program, or SHARP. Okay. So again, the Safety Health Achievement program, right? That recognizes companies for their efforts. I'll just give you for instance, Clemens Aviation and Country. So Clemens Aviation and Country Partners Cooperative earned SHARP status in 2025. That they earned it. They earned that SHARP status. Now, that's thanks to stronger ties with labor departments and reduced injuries. Highwood USA has maintained it for multiple years, and a Florida construction firm dropped injuries to zero in 2019 after getting consulting support, for that SHARP program. It's a good program. Test it out. It'll help you out. But tech-driven wins are impressive too. Okay. It's not just the United States. Okay. We have other places that have environmental health and safety, just so you know. I talk to them regularly. I like my overseas people just as much as I like my in the continental US people. Okay. Now, tech-driven wins, I'm telling you, one manufacturer cut incidents by 30% in a single year using predictive analytics. And Heineken Brazil slashed and then by 70% over the 2 years with behavior-based safety programs. And I'm a fan of behavior-based safety programs. I'm a fan of Lean. I'm a fan of Six Sigma, Kaizen, and HOP. They're all in here. And there's how to merge them all together. So you might want to read it. I'm just saying, But we have some good things, right? You got graduates from accredited environmental health and programs that climb to high profile roles, It's great. You got people that are, jumped up in public health services or directors of health departments with real community impacts, such as distributing mosquito nets in clinics or leading river restoration projects that prevented hundreds of pounds of pollutants. And this is the big one. And I shout out to this, and women in EHS are getting well-deserved recognition for their contributions. Okay. And this is a shout out to my female colleagues out there, because I've seen your frustrations. I've been on those talks where you're absolutely right. For some reason, you've had to call in your male counterpart, and then everything's like, okay, that's exactly what. Oh, yeah, I'll shout. Angie, is what Angie had said. That's what Leslie had said. That's what Kimberly had said. You got to understand that. And I'm glad women are getting that well-deserved recognition for their contributions in EHS, because it is a nurturing side of the house, but it's also, hey, sometimes guys can't see what's right in front of their face. Hence the whole thing that, you open up the fridge door, you look in it. Where's the ketchup? It's right there. It's right in your face. And then you can't find it. And, and then she comes in, there it is. As men, we've got to step back because we actually see farther than we do close up. Maybe that's our nature. Maybe that's our intention of what we do in the world or whatever. I ain't get into that debate. Anyway, there's innovators like Daniel Hummerdale. They're advancing concepts like Safety 2 in New Zealand. Okay. Right into it. I've studied it. I'm a reader. You'll see you'll see what I'm doing. I'm developing my own safety studio in my other location. This is a makeshift one. You see that I've had books behind me before. The new one, I got my own stage. It's going to be beautiful. I'll put it on this channel, and probably be my most viewed ones because it'll be like, hey, look at my setup, and everybody likes to look at everybody's setup. Anyway, back to the topic. Okay, you have companies like Velocity EHS. They're named top workplaces in 2025 for their collaborative cultures, and Sika improves safety by linking it to managers' goals and celebrating wins. Now, I love that. I've been a part of steering committees. I've been part of places that I was like, you know what? If you tie in the EHS KPIs into goals for the managers, supervisors, leads, something happens that's pretty awesome because there's more wins that happen. There's more awareness. There's more understanding. There's more communication. There's more openness. There's so much more to it. And you need to know that. You need to know that this works. Okay. A Tennessee employer has sustained high safety performance for nearly 2 decades through consistent practices. I'm going to tell you, and I'll shout out to him. Talked to him a couple of times. Looking ahead, and you can look him up. Expert like Sean M. Galloway predict, so do I, 2026 will emphasize culture over just compliance because EHS success is reducing fads, but acknowledging ongoing pressures from workforce and regulatory demands. And that's true. I wrote multiple books, but my latest one, you've got to understand that the way things are changing is that compliance is like the bare minimum, if you will, right? Compliance is the lowest standard of achievement in the world of safety. Now, some people say, well, we don't need world-class safety. We need good enough. And for those people, I have signage for you, and you'll have to remove what you need to remove from my other fingers to get that signs, because they'd be dual signs, definitely. So I don't want to keep this longer than it has to be. I appreciate you guys tuning in or watching, clicking. Please subscribe if you haven't, because we see the algorithm, and of course, you got like 65 people that are not subscribed that will watch the channel, and you're just like, please just subscribe. It helps a lot. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate if you are interested in safety, you want to come on the podcast, please do, and I'll close with this. I want to wrap this up. With EHS Concepts, always safety. Remember, staying informed on these trends and addressing those common complaints, and of course, celebrating achievements can make all the difference in building safer workplaces. If you have your own EHS stories or questions, drop them in the comments below. Ask to join the podcast. Thanks for listening. Stay safe out there. And you know what? I'll catch you on the next episode, and I appreciate you being here. Thank you.